Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. It is now 7:41 a.m. Wednesday, July 17, 2019. I was listening to a program. He calls himself the Christian Whistleblower. I was referred to him, to his channel, to watch his channel from another YouTuber by the name of I Am Monica 57. They talk about the Bible and how when we read the Bible, Genesis, the first chapter, second chapter, that we are taught to interpret it in a way that may not be accurate, and that the Genesis chapter was really about ETs, extraterrestrials, and that in the beginning, God, the word God in the original language is plural, and the word that they use is called Elohim, plural. Why didn't they call it in the beginning gods, plural? Now, we may interpret the word God as singular, but when I think of the original word Elohim, like a unit, like a group, like you're a member of a group, a collective, not just one person, but one group consisting of several individuals. That's how I take it. But so you start to ask yourself why. But there was a thought that came to my mind as I started thinking about the program and the development of modern day people. And I thought of two things. And the thing that led me to do this video, something I started visualizing, thinking about life. What happens to us? That, like the theme in the Bible, we have a group, an Elohim, creating a system, creating boundaries, what to follow to keep them in check. And then an outsider comes in and causes melee. That, in essence, is what happened in Genesis. An outside force interfering with a system that was placed. And I look in modern, in history, in the Americas. You had people that were living in the Americas, and then you have an invading force. And in history we taught that they were looking for cheaper trade routes. Why this preoccupation with these particular goods? It's not like something that you need, like tea. You don't need tea. You got herbs, you have an herb garden. You can make other teas, mint teas, peppermint, licorice. They have all different types of things, teas that you can make from your own garden in Europe. And then when they came upon the Americas, right away it was a project. So you really start to wonder the real intentions behind the initial travel, right? Why thwart your original plan to get this tea and spices? So I'm thinking, see, people do what they are programmed to do. People can only do what is already in them to do. What are they programmed to do? Seek and take. Throughout history, to seek and take and destroy the occupants who are there, or to displace them. So it's like a mirror. You act like your fathers, right? We all have a father. So I started thinking, okay, this is the essence of this audio. A mirror. A mirror only reflects what it sees, and it bounces it back to the viewer. But what if you take two mirrors and you face them facing each other parallel? Perfect alignment. And then if you go in the middle of those two mirrors and look, what are you going to see? An infinite amount of you in the mirror. It's just an endless reflection. I think that's all what society is like here. We are only reflecting what's already programmed in us. We can't do anything outside of that. And so, look at history, what's happening now. You have Europe, then a segment of them relocated to the Americas, and of course they even migrated to the Pacific also. But we're going to stick with the Americas. And then what happened? Well, my mom's people were born and or raised in the Caribbean island of Martinique. That is a French overseas department. It's an overseas department of France, I should say. And in its history, there was a law that banned a particular segment of people from that island. They were not liked. Yeah. And even in parts of Europe, this same group was barred, kicked out of their country, of the country that they were occupied, that they were occupying, I should say. So it's interesting that this particular group, I'm not going to give the name of that group, but you could research on your own who this group is that was forced out of, forbidden to enter Martinique and kicked out of Southern Europe. And then, somehow, this group is now in the Americas. And doing extremely well, and is now pushing this group, the major group living in the Americas, including the US, and is creating melee in the Americas, in North America in particular. This reminds me again of the scriptures, of the ever fighting. It seems like people are here as extensions of those factions of the Bible in Genesis. This faction still exists and is working through our DNA/bloodline. We are not our own. We are being served like puppets. And then you have the puppeteer that are using the puppets in this dimension, in this realm, to do its business. And then I'm thinking, also in the Americas, what's happening? This hatred for Black people, this hatred for the inhabitants of the Americas, the original people. So those people who were the inhabitants at the time of Columbus, and then to follow the Africans that were forcibly pushed here in the Americas. But you notice it's those groups, whether they're pure bloods or mixed race people, they socially are at a more disadvantage economically, socially, health-wise, for some reason. And now they want to try, the media is saying, oh, we're equal. And the word reparations seems to irritate the system. And there's a reason for that. There was never an intention for us to be equal. But I asked myself, okay, to really stick with the, not to veer off too much on why I'm doing this audio. Now you have those groups I was just mentioning that are at a social disadvantage. Now I ask myself, why? Well, in sticking with the theme of the Bible, you have the original inhabitants, and then there was a hijacking. We're the original people. We are the original people of this planet. And so when they see people that look like me in the other's genetics, it doesn't vibe. There's antagonism. This original people are a stench to the conqueror's nose. So why is there conflict against the African, the original people of the Americas, pre-Columbian people? Well, the invader knows who's the original. Their plan doesn't include us. We're used as a slave force, a perpetual slave force. I saw a picture. I did take a snapshot of it, and it showed a picture of a good-looking black man wearing a suit and tie, it's a red tie, and it was for the Secret Service. Yes, the Secret Service is the FBI. So now they're encouraging black people now, black men, to be working for the Secret Service. The Secret Service is like a police force, but they handle, I guess, they federal, the whole country. So they have jurisdiction federally. So they surpass the state. Why? So they use us, again, as a workforce to protect their interests. When they do use us, whether it be doing their garden for them or doing their mining, we are their hands, and also the hands of warfare. Just watch and notice. So this hijacking people of the Bible is still doing the mess and still messing with the natives. Don't you ever wonder why when someone says, oh, those primitive people? Do you know what the word primitive really means? See, they twist meanings of words. See, primitive only means original. That's right. First, primary, the beginning. We are, yes, the primitive, the first, the original mold of man. And then now there's a new man, the hijacker. And this hijacker is trying to control, doing so much destruction. And now is using us again, our hands, to do work for them. And that work could be anything, even being a soldier, even working for the FBI. It's not for our benefit. And Saudi Arabia does the same thing. Yeah, it has its military force, and the people that they use don't look like them. They're these really, really big people. In Saudi, they're real tall and dark skinned. And then there was this group, they were all masked, I think. They almost look like giants. But again, people in the Middle East area, Northeast, they're tinier people. They're actually tiny in stature. But these other people, these darker skinned people, / African, were a good foot taller and broader. These look like warriors. It was amazing. Yeah, they were taking hostage these people, the local / Arab people. There was some war going on. So they're being used, these specially taught black people are being used as mercenaries for the people in power. But wouldn't it be something, people? See, we are strong. We have special abilities because we are the primitive / original man. Why can't we take back our originality and use our hands for our own purposes rather than the slave for someone else? This is just food for thought. Take care, guys.